Economics is about almost everything we do. It's about money. It's about who is rich and who is poor. And it's about jobs, what people do for a living. Economics is also about the products we buy, the food we grow and eat, and the things we make. Economics is the science of how people use resources to satisfy their needs and wants. In this program, we will look at how the study of economics defines these needs and wants. We all have certain needs that are essential to stay alive. These needs are shared by people all over the world, whether you live in South America, Africa, Asia, or North America. Satisfying these needs is essential. First, we all need food. Most of us need to eat every day. If we don't, we will become weak and unhealthy. Just think of all the efforts and resources we put into food. Restaurants are everywhere. And stores stocked with food. We also need good, clean drinking water every day. If the water becomes polluted or contaminated, it can cause illness and disease. In fact, every city in the United States has a water treatment plant to make the water we drink safe. This is a big commitment of resources. Another need is shelter. For most of us, this means a home to live in. Our final major need is clothing. Without clothing, it would be very difficult to live in areas of the world where the weather gets cold. So, the three major needs are food and water, shelter, and clothing. Let's look more closely at how resources are used to satisfy these major needs. First, food. Food for most people in the United States starts with someone growing crops or livestock on a farm. This is wheat. The land on which the growing takes place is a resource, and so is the work of the farmer. It's called labor. In most of North America, after the crop's harvested, it's taken to a grain elevator. It is then sold to a business that processes the grain into products such as flour. Flour is then used to create a variety of food products. Here we see the capital resources used in food processing: buildings, machines, and more labor. Eventually, the food shows up in stores where shoppers can buy a product made from wheat, like bread, crackers, cereal, and pasta. So you can see that the whole process from land to the kitchen table is complex and involves using many resources. However, for many people in the world, obtaining food is far simpler. The Native Americans who live in South America simply go into the rainforest and collect nuts and fruits to eat. Let's look at shelter. There are many ways to satisfy the need for shelter. In North America, some people live in small houses. Some live in large houses. Others live in apartments. However, our South American family lives in a hut made from materials again gathered from the rainforest. One of the resources used in building a typical home in North America is lumber, which comes from trees, a natural resource. Another resource used in building a home is concrete. Concrete is made up of the natural resources gravel, cement, and water. Mixing the items together requires complicated equipment like the cement trucks and the computer systems that control the filling of the trucks. Building homes also uses labor and other forms of capital resources such as tools. Clothing. At one time, clothing was made from animal hides. For American Indians, animals like deer and buffalo were major natural resources. These blankets are made from the wool of sheep, an animal resource. The wool is sheared using machines and labor. Later, the wool is spun into yarn and woven using tools and labor. The end result is sold in a store, which uses the resources of land, buildings, and again, labor. However, some clothing today is made from fibers that were derived from oil, a non-renewable natural resource. So we can see that many different resources are continually being used to satisfy our needs. Humans also have other needs like sleep and love, but they are not considered to be part of economics. Why? Because there is no process that uses resources to bring about the satisfaction of these needs. Now let's look at wants. Whereas needs are few, wants are limitless. Here are some things we might want: telescopes, diamonds, cars, toys, an education, protection from crime, football, baseball, TV. So many things, so many wants. How do we decide? In economics, one of the most important principles is that all of our own wants cannot be satisfied. We must make choices. This is called opportunity cost. For example, Joe gets a $10 allowance. Joe wants too many things. He wants baseball cards. He wants candy. And he wants to play video games. In fact, he wants lots of cards, lots of candy, and wants to play lots of video games. But when Joe goes to the mall to satisfy his wants by using his allowance, he finds that he needs to choose. In satisfying some wants, others are not fulfilled. More of one thing means less of another. Baseball cards are $1 a pack. Candy is $2 a package. Video games are $1 a play. Joe could buy 10 packs of baseball cards and get no candy or video game plays.
It'd be $10.
Or Joe could get a little of each: 4 packs of baseball cards, 2 packages of candy, and 2 video plays. Finally, Joe could save his money, hold off his desire for something in the future. One of the most important guidelines or problems in economics is how people decide, how they satisfy their needs and wants. In many countries, like the United States, the economy is referred to as a market economy, represented here by this rock and mineral market. A market is a place where people come with their needs and wants, and other people come with goods and services they hope will satisfy the needs and wants. At this rock and mineral market, there are people who want to buy items and people who want to sell items. The basic law of the free market system says that over time, the market itself will guarantee that items will be brought to the marketplace that people want to buy. As you can see, this is pretty much true at the Rock Mineral Show. Let's look at Joe one more time and see how the concept works.
Hi, can I help you find anything?
Yeah, do you have any tree cards?
Suppose Joe wants not baseball cards, but cards with trees on them. He goes to the mall and finds there are no tree cards. If only Joe wants tree cards, the economic way of saying this is that the market demand for tree cards is small. He will only find sports cards. If millions of kids wanted tree cards, the market economy would say that when Joe goes to the mall, he'll find cards to buy, just as now he finds baseball cards.
Actually, do you say tree cards?
Yeah.
One left.
Oh, cool.
Or we can say that because there are so many baseball cards at the mall marketplace, many kids must want baseball cards. So the market system says that if needs and wants are great, they will be turned into demands, and then resources will be used to satisfy these demands by producing products like these baseball cards that satisfy our wants and needs. Now, whether this really works depends on how people choose to use their resources and if there are enough resources to satisfy needs and wants. In America, most of the people have their basic needs met. They eat, drink clean water, have clothes on their backs, and live in homes. But not everyone does, and in many other countries, this is not true at all. This map of the world shows the countries where the majority of the people are lacking food, shelter, and clothing. Of the 5.5 billion people living today, approximately 15%, 800 million people, are not getting their basic economic needs met. Because many resources are limited, we must all use our resources more carefully so that we can satisfy the needs and wants of all the people on the planet.